Hello, everyone. My name is TrupsLP, and today, on a special edition of our political recap, we have Omegon, who is going to be very, very upset talking about the state of his nation. Say hello, Omegon.
Pirates grog, coffee, rum, liqueur, everyone.
I have a white wine.
And I'm drinking it from the bottle because fuck it.
You know they put white wine in cans now.
Wait, what? I'm sorry, why do they do that? Why?
Because it's easier to sell a six-pack sometimes.
White wine? Don't we just... Isn't that just cider in a can at that point?
Kind of. It basically becomes a spritzer.
I'm not familiar with... I don't drink this kind of stuff. Before we continue, hello Patriarch of the Sith, Solomon Grundy, Valentine Beam, Leslie Beechin, Serene, Paul, Prospero, let me see anyone else. Oh yeah, Crunchy, have we left
Karma.
yet? Yes, Karma, Vincent, Atomic Bomb Radio, hello everyone. Right, yes, spritzer, what is a spritzer?
It's kind of, it would basically be a wine, like cider kind of thing.
Okay, I've never heard that. I've heard the word, but I didn't know what it was.
It kind of looks like a wine cooler, yeah.
Hello, Vomit Sausage. I don't generally do beers, ciders, wine. Wine just doesn't taste good to me. I've got a bottle of mulled wine in the corner of my room here from Christmas that I forgot to drink.
I actually quite like wine, quite a lot.
I noticed from your Facebook pictures you like wine.
Ooh, I didn't even know that was up there.
No, I was trying to. No, I'm just being a dick.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyways, so Brexit. It was supposed to happen today.
Okay. Right. I'm gonna pull up something first. This is what yesterday the indicative votes. So, for those who don't know what indicative votes means, it means these are the solutions on the table, and if one of them got across the line, that would be what the MPs would get behind to get the deal across the line. That was what it meant. I forgot to mention this yesterday. The problem is, not a single one of these won a majority. Not one. The contingent preferential arrangements, no. Confirmatory public vote, no. Revocation, fuck no. Labour's alternative plan, no. The customs union, that was Kenneth Clark's idea. It got the highest number of votes, I believe, but it still lost.
Is this related to the stuff that you had posted in the video yesterday?
It's related to that and also my stream from last night. On the screen is the 8 amendments the Speaker chose. The thing that bugs me about this is going to happen again. The indicative votes are going to happen on Monday. They're going to do this again. Now, a few weeks ago the Speaker, or was it last week, the Speaker indicated that he would not allow Theresa May's deal to come back for a third time. I mentioned that to keep doing it over and over again is the definition of insanity. But he cited centuries-old parliamentary rules. And yet, these are being allowed to come back. I assume they will change ever so slightly. Perhaps it will be Common Market 3.0 instead of 2.0, or 2.1 perhaps. Customs Union 2.0 perhaps. And so on. The intention is to keep doing this until a majority is found. Now that obviously means the whips have got a very busy week ahead of them. But this, along with the fact that Theresa May brought her deal for the third time to Parliament, which we will discuss in a moment, is a very damning statement for how little the ideas are on the table. Labour are continuing to believe that their alternative plan could get a majority, but the customs union, of all of them, won a majority, but still wasn't a majority. And so we're not in a stage right now where we can leave the EU. It's important to note that with what's going on, with these going on the table, the extension, we're supposed to be leaving today, but we're not. It goes on until April the 12th, I believe. April 14th, April 12th. And it's kind of sad, because we have 14 days now. 14 days to either vote one of these options through, or vote the Prime Minister's thing through. Oh. Crunchy karma, thank you. I will definitely buy chocolate with it. With this...
Chocolate's good.
Yeah, chocolate's good. I was given an Easter egg today, actually. That was weird.
Ooh. I actually bought a lot of fucking...
My nephew
candy.
decided to smash it up, actually. That was really good of him, actually, because I'm not huge on them. I think it's brilliant when he does it. Basically, their only options are these and the Prime Minister's deal. She's brought it back 3 times, and there's a chance she might bring it back for a 4th. This, because, and this is what's happened, every time she's brought the deal, her deal, which has been polished with, well, polish, her deal is a turd. A literal turd. And every time now, 3 times now, she's gotten more votes. To the point where some that were against it, have publicly stated they'll back it, but there are rules for backing it. Dominic Raab, the former Brexit secretary, he'd back it, but only if, and then he laid out some scenarios during the debate today, because he felt that Live to Fight Another Day was preferential to being stuck in long-term extension, because that just created more uncertainty, more arguing, get this across the line and move on. Basically, that was...
Serene made a very interesting point in the chat. She says that Parliament's recess is on the 4th of April.
It's going to be pushed back. There wasn't meant to be a sitting in Parliament today. Parliament wasn't meant to be open today, but it was for the debate. This takes precedent over anything else, because Parliamentary recess was meant to originally happen also in February, but it didn't happen because of Brexit. This is too important for Parliamentary recess. That is why the extension to April the 12th or whatever continues. And by the way, the Prime Minister has said that even if her deal gets voted through now, even if somehow a deal gets agreed upon, there isn't enough time to get the withdrawal agreement and the political declaration through Parliament. There isn't enough time. So either way, either no deal happens or they're fucked. Now, with the 2 weeks that are remaining, the options on the table are these 8 options. And unfortunately, not a single one commands a majority. No deal definitely doesn't. Oh, my apologies. Prospero, remuneration for wading through all this. Thank you very much for the £25 donation. That's very kind of you. The Common Market 2.0 would tie us to the Single Market and the Customs Union, I believe. No, Common Market 2.0 doesn't. Customs Union, Labour's alternative plan does, because they want to, quote, protect jobs, and they want to protect jobs, protect workers' rights, protect the environment, which is a bit of a contradiction because the common fisheries policy erodes at fishing supplies, fish stocks, and of course, the agricultural policy erodes at our already somewhat acidic land. We Brits don't have we have very fertile land, but our land is quite acidic. To maintain it to standards the EU requires actually doesn't allow our land to regenerate. These are ignored because and we know this because the SNP ignores the fishermen. They ignore the farmers, and they keep saying that Scotland wants to be in the EU. That's not entirely true. Those that want to be in the EU live in the cities mostly, in Scotland especially. In the UK, the rest of the UK, yet again, England is quite clearly against it, but the city is against them.
Isn't Ireland split? I mean, more split than usual.
Northern Ireland, yes. Ireland is a part of the EU. Remember.
Oh yes,
right.
For us Americans, Ireland actually doesn't split north and south.
So there is a Republic of Ireland, and then there's Northern Ireland. Right. So today, after the debate, there was a very short, and I watched this. Skog, one of my lovely patrons, he streamed this. He streamed Factorio and the debate, and he was laughing so much at some of the stupid crap they said. It was cancer. I was listening I was in his chat, and all I could think was, this is absolute bollocks. Some were saying they wouldn't vote in favour of Theresa May's deal, and then they gave reasons that, to me... Okay, so remember the discussion we had just before we came on air?
Yeah.
Right, so that very self-centred and selfish narcissism, that was what so a lot of the MPs gave me. I sat back and thought, you're not even listening to your constituents. You are taking it upon yourself to act in their interest when they have voted against what you believe. And you being the elitist and snob and soon to be unemployed, you have pushed against them. Interesting to note here that with the result that I'm going to put on the screen now, with this result of 344 votes against Theresa May's deal to 286, with 321 being needed to get the deal across the line. Afterwards, Jeremy Corbyn called for a general election. I'm thinking, right, so you want a general election right now. Our extension goes until April the 12th. And you want a general election right now, when Parliament has already rejected a lengthy extension. So you somehow want to have an election, somehow win, which you wouldn't because you don't command a majority anywhere. No party does, really. And then you want to push for that election to happen, be done, someone take office, and then finish this. This would actually command nothing. This would, much like Brexit itself, create more confusion. And I would say that if the vote went against the public, they would not get an answer that would be any more clear than the one they got in 2016. And it would be the same with this general election if it happened. To get Theresa May's deal across the line, she is willing to commit Sudoku, as I said, which many believed I wasn't intentionally doing. To be clear, I meant every single syllable of it. Sudoku. Do I have to have my sarcasm sign up for that?
Yes, Sudoku.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand very clearly.
Thank fuck.
And we shall do the ancient art of numerically stabbing oneself in the stomach. Yeah.
Exactly. And she's willing to do that. Now, one of the biggest criticisms of that is that essentially to get her deal across the line, she would commit suicide to her own political career for the greater good of the country. The problem there is who takes over from her. There are only two options, realistic, or say three. There are three options. One is Sajid Javid. Reasonable to assume he's a moderate, very hard line on foreign policy, certainly when it comes to letting people back in. Yeah. The others, Michael Gove, who would have actually made Chancellor, I think. And I believe Sajid Javid is trying to get him to be his Chancellor, to back him for when Theresa May steps down. And that's because of the third person. Because the third person was going to be Prime Minister instead of Theresa May. And he scares a lot of people.
Oh, it's this Boris.
It is... Can you say that again, please?
Boris Johnson.
Thank you. Yes. It is, in fact...
Sorry, it's such a Russian name.
It's perfect. He is the biggest threat because he commands so much support. And Michael Gove stabbed him in the back to elevate himself, and it backfired. So Sajid Javid is trying to get Gove on side so that he can be in charge instead of Boris. And this scares MPs as well, because they don't want a, quotes, hardliner, right-wing Brexiteer in charge of Parliament. I don't agree with this at all. I think a Brexiteer is the perfect person to be in charge, because they know what the people voted for. Theresa May knows this, but because she voted Remain, people use that against her. With Boris, all you can use is his intelligence against him, because he says a lot of stupid shit, because he's a bit too smart for his own good. I don't, by the way, want a leadership campaign just yet. My view is, this deal needs to be, we need something, or nothing. The MPs have taken no deal off the table, but it's not legally binding, so the no deal is inevitable if nothing happens after April 12th. The MPs are scrambling to get one of those 8 options through the Commons. I do not believe a single one of these will get through. This is the nearest one, the Customs Union. Kenneth Clark's idea. But it won't work. And Boris Johnson could be American president. He was born in America, by the way.
Really? I'm surprised he can be a prime minister then.
We have different rules over here. Naturalized citizens can go for high office. I don't think common market would work. No deal, well, they keep taking it off the table. You will not be able to revoke Article 50. And that's a desperate move to avoid #no deal. That's not how this works.
And mostly the MEPs, mostly the Scottish, are into that, right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned MEPs, because then I'm going to segue on to something else before we go back. The independent group, the MPs that defected from Labour and the Conservatives, have applied to become a political party and stand in the EU elections in May. Yeah, this would include Heidi Allen, Chuka Umunna. Who else was it? Oh, I've archived this, so it hasn't shown me the picture. We'll go here. Here we go. Read our statement. Let's see who we are. This will tell me everything I need to know. So, Heidi Allen, Luciana Berger, Ann Coffey, I think she's said, Mike Gapes, Chris Leslie, Joan Ryan, Gavin Chuka, Angela Smith. Where is she? Oh, Anne Soubry.
I will point out these are all just wonderful looking individuals, aren't they?
Chuka Umunna, he was touted to be the next leader of the Labour Party, but he stepped down because, and I guess there's an irony to this now anyway, because he didn't want to be in the public eye too much. And now look at him, one of the leading MPs in a party called the Independent Group. Come on.
I hate to actually judge a person by first impressions like a normal human being, but he looks a couple
Chuka is a very
chromosomes off from a person.
He's a very intelligent guy. Very intelligent.
Is he? Okay,
but
fair enough.
And the rest of them are very anti-Brexit. They want a people's vote, a second referendum. They would, if they could, revoke Article 50. In their statement, they've obviously gone here with, just absolute bollocks on their, what their policy is. But back to Theresa May's deal. Tusk tweeted in response to it, in view of the rejection, I have decided to call European Council on April 10th. This is an attempt to get them to agree either a lengthier extension, which is what they will probably try and do, or simply agree to to walk away. Because I guess, with their patience exhausted, are they willing to take the hit or not? There were some, I did archive this as well, live reaction. A source number 10 quoted saying we're at least going in the right direction. Others saying UK's out of options and time. It's not surprising. This is, people are pissed off with this. As far as most will agree, it's a defeat. And it's not, it's just embarrassing at this point. There were hashtags, and I thought I'd show those as well. You've got...
While you pull them up real quick, I wanted to also say hello to the 93 people watching at the moment. And if you haven't already, please smash that like button.
And then subscribe to PewDiePie. Donate to Streamlabs. His, PewDiePie's not mine. Twitter, the hashtags were Brexit Day and Withdrawal Agreement. Brexit Shambles, that's been going on for months. But the Withdrawal Agreement one is a picture, and let's go, where is it? Here we are. And the only remaining in Parliament Square. A lovely Brexit veteran with a walking stick just told me he'd protect me if it got nasty. 63% of UK constituencies voted leave. That is higher than I remembered. That's sad.
This looks like a meme image.
I feel like, so people watching.
This will be meme.
Here's your picture. If you want to meme it, it's @_Trups. Send it to him.
Yes, please do. I will make sure to send it around.
He, like I, also got stuck with underscores. So, here we go. The withdrawal agreement. This is how the vote went down. In favour, you had 5 Labour MPs and 4 independents, and then 277 Conservative. That's the majority of the party. And only 34 Conservative MPs voted against. Important to note here, then, that even if those 34 voted here, they still would have lost. No, they wouldn't. They would have gotten across the line. Maybe. Anyway, with this, essentially, they'll never get Labour on side. Labour are at this present time still playing party politics. Yes, they are playing a game against the Conservatives because reasons. Also, many have pointed out, the majority of Leave voters came from Labour constituencies, which is really, really fascinating. To me, it's a damning statement for the current state of politics in the UK that they're willing to work against their people. Let's pull this tweet up because this one's interesting. Can I pull it up? No, I can't. It's archived. Fuck it. Aha. Oh look, Skog wrote something. 286 people want vassaldom, 340 people don't. Good for them, to be honest. Now they just need to decide what they do want. Skog might be triggered.
I always am.
Yeah. So now, until the April 12th, there are going to be debates every day. Oh, the thing I forgot to mention. For Theresa May to get her deal brought back to Parliament for a 3rd time, the deputy of the party, Dave Liddington, I believe, and the Attorney General, the guy who looked like he almost cried, had to basically verbally abuse the shit out of the Speaker until he agreed to let it back in for one last vote. They had to bully the Speaker into giving them a 3rd vote. And yes, Liam's right, they can't agree on anything. This is why it's so frustrating. Because there is no majority in Parliament, and yet Theresa May will keep trying, and Corbyn keeps saying there is a majority in the House for a deal. But his deal has been rejected. And I would also point out, his deal was rejected once before. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Now, yes, it did get more votes back then, 280-ish or something. Sorry. But this time it got less votes, which tells me his deal is being rejected. And okay, I'm going to throw my tablet away. Hang on. Thank you. Which means that it is getting worse for him. His deal does not command a majority. Teresa's doesn't either.
No one's does.
No, exactly.
That's kind of the point of this whole shit.
Now we're stuck here, and some are saying it's coming down to the point where they're just doing it because either they want to end Brexit altogether by boring us to death, or because they want to force through a second referendum somehow.
You guys have filibuster laws.
I think we do. I think some people have filibustered before. I think Mog has once.
Because basically how it sounds is... So at the very beginning of the stream, somebody had mentioned that your default should have been no deal. You have failed to come to a resolution on original day of Brexit. Mm-hmm. Therefore, default Brexit, no deal. But apparently that's not happening. So what it sounds like is some BS filibuster to try and buy yourself more time so that... I don't know if it was... If you had this situation, but when I was a child, my mother ever asked me a question like, would you rather do this or this? Mm-hmm. If I answered incorrectly, it was like, for example, this is one off the top of my head. Do you want, I don't know, a Pepsi or water with dinner?
Yeah.
Oh, Pepsi would be nice.
Okay.
You know, you really should have water. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you actually ask me the question, or were you hoping that I would guess right?
I have something then on filibusters.
Okay.
According to Andrew Dinsmore, a former Labour MP, there are rules on it. I'm going to put it on screen now. Basically, the rules are, unlike in America, where you could read from a phone directory and take your time, in the UK, you cannot hesitate or deviate when speaking. And the rules mean we cannot speak for longer than 4 hours. Current record is 3 hours and 17 minutes. So you can play for time, but you cannot even for a second have so much as a stammer.
I see. Because if in that empty space, the speaker can then call somebody else, I assume.
Exactly.
Or, I'm sorry, the chairman.
The speaker can interject. You cannot give them the opening. I personally think no deal is the best option now. I stand by it. It is one I have stood by for weeks. I do think if this goes further, Theresa May's deal will get through. Eventually. I think she'll get the votes from her own party. And I think, can we break 100? We have before.
Woo!
Damn. That was quite the woo.
Alright, I'm excited for you. Us.
Thanks. Us, mate, us. I think she'll get her deal through. I don't know how she'll get it back in Parliament for a fourth time. And I think World Trade or WTO rules are fine. No deal Brexit. We can secure the deals. We can secure trade deals. It's not rocket science here. People are scared.
And the fucking US will sign a deal with you immediately.
Yeah, the silly thing here is that people are afraid of the unknown, but they're basing it on the false pretense that the EU is infallible and a guarantee. No, it's safe for now. You base it and predicate it on the assumption that it will continually be good and prosperous and secure. I'm all in favour of protecting environmental laws, protecting workers' rights. I'm all in favour of that. But that can be enshrined in our law. If you want it, why don't you just do that instead of saying, well, they're already there though, so we'll just keep them there. No. Give them back to us. Let us put it in law, and you get what you want. But the Labour Party won't play ball on this idea. And this is pathetic. This is childish. It is... Hello, Laura. It's just embarrassing now. I think most of the reactions... The biggest one has been that the implications of this grave. And it does make this clear. While no deal has been rejected by Parliament, the legal default is that on April 12th, we will leave the EU. You cannot stop that. You can't revoke... We can revoke Article 50, but it's not going to happen. You cannot do that just because Scotland said so. You cannot have a people's vote on the deal because... Oh, thank you, Steve, for the donation. That's very kind of you. You cannot have a people's vote on the deal because we don't have enough time to do it. And we do not have enough time to have another referendum either. We have 14 days. It's impossible, logistically impossible to happen. And then to find a way to ratify the declaration, the withdrawal agreement and the political agreements and all the other stupid declarations and agreements. It's not possible now. Even if Theresa May's deal... Well, actually, if her deal had been approved, the extension would have been to May the 22nd. That would have been enough time to get the political declaration and enough time to get the... Oh, thank you for the super chat, Leslie White. Does the world need another superpower or super rower? Does it need another super rower or a superpower?
I would go with a super rower. Get those big ass Viking longboats out again.
We Brits produce some of the best rowers in the world. So.
You really?
Yeah, we have a lot of the gold medalists at Olympics come from here.
Oh, I did not know that.
We're very good with our legs. Okay, they're very sturdy.
Well, you guys probably walk and bike a lot more than we Americans do.
I do about 20k a day.
I can't say I do.
I know.
I do maybe 3 or 4.
For shame.
Ah.
Okay, so with this, this lack of extension, there isn't enough time to get everything else through. And that means that defaults, unless Tusk agrees to the extension, if they manage to get it through separately, which won't happen. Oh, power, right. Does the world need another superpower, Trups?
I would say no. In fact, most of the superpowers have decidedly shrunk away from their duties as a world force,
Right.
namely the United States trying to become a little bit more introverted.
Well,
We're kind of cleaning up the pieces, but
you've got to take care of your own before you help the world.
that
And
is very much true.
I maintain this for the UK as well. And to Daniela say, what will be outcome now? Honestly, I have no idea. I think no deal. I think no deal happens. If it does, Theresa May can stay in office, because then she has a very busy time ahead of her. The EU will have to negotiate with us. I said this last week. If that happens, they can bloody well come to us. We are not the EU's bitch.
Now, this was something that I actually had thought when Irate Bear had done his stream on the Article 13s and 11 ratification. Should the UK leave the EU, would that mean that you are no longer subject to Articles 11 and 13?
Yeah, we're not subject to them.
So, for all those individuals who have been, let's say, Remainers, but staunchly against Articles 11 and 13, you may actually sway some votes now.
Maybe. To Leslie White, then we don't need the EU and we should not join. Agreed. We shouldn't rejoin either. I think they will try to in 20, maybe 10, 15 years anyway. Depends on the government office.
I think the EU deserves to disband and everyone go back to old school alliances, old school
I miss some of the old currencies.
We work together.
I've got some Drachma and Deutschmarks in my francs with the holes in. I'd like to use.
I mean, I get it. The whole idea of a trade union did make a lot of sense.
Well, that's the problem.
But
it now is pushing for more powers being given to it from sovereign nations to give up more of their powers. I disagree with this notion, but again, I'm not totally against it. But I think with any republic, any federalized state, it has to be built on a solid foundation. If your solid foundation has a mask of democracy, but is not, then you are not a federalized state, and you are not a republic. You are an embarrassment. Blade the Vamp must make current donations a whole number. Thank you for the £8.49 donation. Take it up to 150. That's clever.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's very generous of you. The EU does not have a democratic process. We know this because people voted for Articles 11 and 13 because they couldn't translate it, and they voted on the wrong one. Where's the democracy in that, for voting where you don't know? Why don't you just have a unified language? Why can't you have a democratic process that people understand? Why is this so difficult?
Because people have their own reasons for making it difficult, and it's something we'll never get away
is making it difficult because they want to be in control of everything.
Well, that's the whole problem with the EU, though, too.
That is.
Let's be honest. What the EU is doing...
That is the whole problem. The EU is exactly that, and because of that, it cannot become a federalized state. It cannot become a republic. It can't, because it does not stand for democracy.
Well, the EU is honestly an empire.
And it will fall, like all empires.
The fact that anybody thinks that the EU is anything but an empire, especially those people who stand against imperialism, that's ironic that most of them are for the empire of the EU.
Yeah,
so,
to those in the chat, Gulf City Synthesizer about the army and Liam Chiswell, the EU will start a war. If they do, they will lose. I'm not saying it because of Russia, although Russia get blamed for everything. I'm not saying it because the British will get involved, because quite frankly, why the fuck should we? If the EU started a war because they want to be a superpower, they would be eradicated from the face of the earth by one country.
Which one?
Your one.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. It's Germany that's running it again.
If it had gotten to the point where all the countries gave up more powers and maybe adopted one language, I'm sure the majority of people would say, I bet it will be German. I don't think it will be. I think they'll go with a far simpler language. Germany's quite complex. French is very easy.
Go with either, honestly, English or Chinese. If the whole world were to go with a language, English or Chinese.
Well, if the EU wants to adopt it so everyone understands what they're doing, perhaps MEP should learn a single language and work with that within the EU. French is one of the easiest languages to learn.
I have an awful French accent, though.
I don't care. All you have to do is say je ne sais pas, je ne comprends pas, and omelette du fromage.
Yes, of course, omelette with cheese.
Exactly.
Oh, I used to take French. I had the hardest time with the EU sounds.
My mother's side of French, so I had French, but I didn't need to take French. Family talk in French, I just ignore it. I just don't. I'm glad you adore cheese.
Yes, my sister and my mom can speak French.
It's something.
Esperanto.
Yeah. So, Corbyn's solution to all this is call for a general election. Theresa May has pointed out that we're going to default on April 12th. As far as omelette du fromage, everyone. That's right. If you like omelette du fromage, press 1 in the chat. Theresa May thinks we'll default. Other MPs are trying to find a way to get one of the 8 original options through. And I'll put them back on the screen one last time. These ideas are the ones being floated. No deal was rejected by one of the biggest majorities, along with revocation of Article 50. And yet, whenever these are rejected, the MPs who put them forward, or their parties, still think they can get them through. I think no deal was an inevitability, so we ignore that. The Common Market 2.0 can't happen, because then we can't trade abroad. EFTA and EEA, Single Market Customs Union. Customs Union. Labour's plan is basically those two. And confirmatory public vote is voting deal or no deal, not voting on the leave or stay.
Also, I like We Are Here's response. I don't speak surrender.
That's what Dankula said to Sargon when they were in Brussels.
Oh, I mean, they have.
And that's what I tell people all the time. I put it on the server last night, actually. Every day I go for a walk along the seafront, and I thought I'd share this. On a good sunny day, I can see France, so I take a photo, and then I zoom it in, and then I will amend the image, so you can just about make out the outline of a white flag.
Wonderful. Beautiful, in fact.
That is France. Yeah. Did you want to, since I'm done with Brexit now, it's your turn.
Yes. Yeah, if we want to switch gears over to the other side of the Atlantic.
Yeah, we're over with Brexit.
America has had some very complicated situations go on. I mean, you'd think they would be very simple. So, you know what? Let's touch on the most obscure, least talked about, and do the Chick-fil-A one.
Okay, I'll pull it up now. Chick-fil-A. Okay, you're up.
So long story short, the Texas Attorney General is investigating San Antonio for banning Chick-fil-A from its airport. The argument is that San Antonio Airport finds that Chick-fil-A's personal beliefs, being a Christian-run company, about their opinions on gay marriage, should not be a part of whatever the airport is.
Can you give me the Cliff's Notes on that? Because I don't know what that's about.
Chick-fil-A's owner is a staunch Christian.
Is this
He
like the gay cake
has
thing?
previously donated to anti-LGBTQ, etc. Groups in the past. He has opposed, legislation for gay marriage.
Okay.
Because it is against his religion.
Right.
However, as a business owner, he neither discriminates on the employees based on their sexual orientation, nor the customers. He has his personal beliefs, but that never has changed how the employees or customers are treated. There may be one or two, instances where an employee maybe made a snide comment, but by and large, there's no issues.
Okay.
So they would say that then, because San Antonio Airport has denied them access to the airport, to their place of business, based on their their religious beliefs, they have in fact violated their religious liberties.
Before you continue, we're talking about Texas, and I received a very lovely care package from someone from Texas. And on my desk here, I have this Texas snow globe with an armadillo in it. It's quite beautiful, along with a bunch of Texas-related jerkies, and yeah, I just wanted to flex about the snow globe because it's beautiful. Carry on, sorry.
One of the comments a little down below says, Councilman Roberto Trevino, who made the motion to exclude Chick-fil-A. I think they spelled Chick-fil-A wrong. Nope, no they didn't. I always spelled it with just no C. I just spelled it with C-H-I-K because that's how the cow spells it. We do not tolerate anti-LGBTQ behavior. Well, you kind of have to.
This does remind me of the gay cake thing again.
Yes.
So, I hold the stance. People, they have the right to refuse service to anyone. If they're being, although I would argue, if you're going to be a dick about it, perhaps just try and hide that. If you're discriminating against somebody because of that, yeah, then we have a bit of a conundrum, really. In the sense that you shouldn't be discriminating customers based on their sexual preferences, their gender, their race. It's arbitrary. And for me, I think from business stance, it's reckless. Yes, you may not believe what they believe, but I like money.
Well, that's the thing. It's not a business stance. It is the owner has his personal beliefs, and his business feeds him the money, which then he uses to donate as he sees fit.
Right. Okay, so it's not a business thing at all.
Right. It's more like, I don't like how you're spending your money. And that's just fucking ridiculous. I mean, you have no claim to anybody else's finances.
Okay, so Stormy Skies in the chat. Yeah, the service in hiring doesn't discriminate. They never kicked out a gay customer. Thank you for clearing that up, because I didn't know. I'm not familiar with this story at all. So this is all new to me. As far as the owner goes, I don't care what he does with his money.
Right. I mean, that's my thing too. Like, let me tell you, the Jesus chicken is fantastic.
I don't even know if we have Chick-fil-A over here.
I don't think so. It used to be a Southern exclusive thing, but they've moved around quite a bit.
I guess it's on the bucket list of things to go to when I come over.
Ooh, please do. I'll take you.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So that's mainly that. So I wanted to point that one out. So this is kind of evidence of Texas going a little bit more.
What I'll do, I'll link it in the chat because I haven't linked it. I haven't linked it in the description, so people can go there if they want to and check the article out.
Okay. So let's quickly touch on Jussie Smollett, since you and me both did a video on it.
Such a prick. I think I've done technically 2 videos on this twat.
Oh, me too.
Such a he still thinks he's innocent and that he was racially attacked.
This guy is actually the most, he's the pinnacle of douchebaggery. I can't stand his fucking attitude. Out of all the things that he's done, his attitude is the thing that irks me the most. If he were to have stayed quiet about the whole thing and only responded when he was asked questions and shit, okay, fine, I can tolerate it. Yeah, you're a bad guy, but I'm not gonna be pissed. Okay. But this asshole, on I think it was Tuesday when all this news broke about him, he went to an interview where he said, and I covered this in a video on Tuesday on my channel, link to my channel down below.
Yeah, link below.
Where he says, I wouldn't be my mother's son if I did the things that they accused me of.
You didn't mention
and
your
I
dad,
go,
did you?
Dick, we know you did it.
By the way, Prosperous says he's been nominated for an NAACP award.
Yes, he has.
What's the award? Hang on, I'm going to go back here and find it. Carry on.
But yeah, I can't stand it. Yes, you did it. We all know you did it. You had the charges brought against you. All of the information was brought publicly. The only argument I could possibly see, right, to why they did not continue with a trial is to be able to find a jury would be almost impossible, and I will explain that in a second.
Yeah. I do actually have the NAACP thing, if you want me to talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so he's nominated for the 2019 Image Awards with the host and Black-ish star Anthony Anderson saying he hopes he wins. He quoted as saying, I hope he wins. I'm happy for him that the system worked for him in his favour because the system isn't always fair, especially for people of colour, so I'm glad it worked out for him. But he lied. We know he lied.
I think this is where the opinions of the justice system in the United States, which has historically been very much anti-black, anti-minority.
I'll leave the article
this is kind of...
Yeah, stream chat for anyone who wants to read the USA article that I've just referenced.
This is kind of the... Hey, at least, you know, getting off scot-free worked for one of us for once. It's very tribalistic.
It's... The problem is...
Doesn't that picture that you have right on there right now, doesn't that look like a bad guy in like a Die Hard movie?
He looks like there's a look on his... I don't... To me, it looks like... that's right, I got away with it, you fuckers, what now?
Yeah, right?
I think, for me, I know why they couldn't take it further. There were many that pointed out some of the people he knew in high places that were able to get him off. That's fine. If that happened, fair enough. Use your white privilege to do that. And yeah, I know I mentioned white privilege because he's about as black as Sean White.
Oh, I mentioned white privilege in my video too.
So did Magog, and I used his clip because it was so funny. With Jussie, I don't think he's going to go far. His career's done. People won't hire a guy who will actually make a mockery of hate crime for their own financial gain. You won't do it unless Nike sign him up for Kaepernick's ad 2.0. This guy's career is done.
Or if he writes a book called If I Did It.
Oh, well, no, that wasn't written by OJ. It was written by the family, wasn't it? The family of the person he supposedly... Yeah, it was written by the family of the wife he didn't murder. And they wrote if in minuscule writing. Or in some copies, right, they cut the page in half, right, on the cover, had OJ on one side, I did it, written there. And on the other side it was all black, with the word if written in black as well, but it was written in a gloss, so you could only just see it, which is really clever. But I don't think Jussie's career is going to go any further now. Because...
It might, but...
I don't think it will.
There was one thing I wanted to touch on before we run out of time. The jury. Yeah, so to find a impartial jury for a case that has had this much media attention would be almost impossible.
Is that why do you think that it didn't go any further?
It's at least an argument to be made. So, because the media has reported as much as they did, and especially given evidence and their opinions with that evidence, it's kind of the reason why the UK has your reporting laws for active, investigations. It's so that you can't taint the jury and change the outcome.
Yeah, it's certain And Tony Bob, you're not late. It's fine. I think we do for certain crimes and cases, but not all. When the people in the public eye, no, it does get out very easily, and that's unfortunate.
But I think that's also why you don't see them in trials.
I hope he doesn't win the NAACP award. I think it will delegitimize the award. I think if he wins, they are then propping up somebody built on a lie, which is basically Black Lives Matter. That is built on a lie. The movement has become that anyway. It's the same as Antifa. It's built on bullshit, and it's not. Its foundation is so weak it will crumble under the first sign of any actual test. The only defense he'll have is you're just racist. He's not going to get any jobs. I maintain this. There's no way people will want him working for them, knowing that he will, if he doesn't get paid enough, he will cause unending suffering to other people based on the colour of their skin, because he thinks his should somehow be treated different to theirs. He's got equality, he had a solid job and a good career ahead of him, and he threw it away for money, to the point where he is being fined $130,000 to cover police time. That is a phenomenal amount of money for a guy who was only making, what, 50, 60 grand an episode. I hope it was worth it then, because you're not going to be making much money past this.
So I have a picture to go next to that one that you have up on right now, or you can just switch to it. I just sent it to you in
Cool.
Discord. Just it looks so bad when you put them next to each other.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So if I put this here, with that one, is it the second one or the first one? Oh, right.
Yeah, that one. I saw that and I was like, oh no. Yeah, just Jesus.
Just gonna keep doing it.
That's so bad. That's so fucking bad.
And I'll put
anyways,
I'll stop and put Jussie on screen then. I'll just leave Jussie there.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing with Jussie, and honestly, he has delegitimized everything.
Yep.
And everything is. So the Globes did it. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
He's evolving. Please don't evolve into a mass murderer.
Jussie Smollett evolved into OJ Chan.
Okay.
He did it with soy stone.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed to see this happen, and the media like respond and say that he's a victim. I'm like, oh my god, these poor two like Nigerian brothers, who by the way, born in fucking Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just have family in Nigeria. Stop calling them Nigerian. They're American.
I have this problem with people who say they're African American. Okay, you're black. Okay, how many generations of you live in the country? If it's past one, you're just American.
Hey, I can say I'm Cuban American. Fuck yeah.
In fact, I would argue even if you're the first generation born here, you're American. But I think you have a stronger foundation to say you are, like you, Cuban American, than those who are second and third. You're not African American at that point. You are just American.
Right.
Shut the fuck up.
And that's the same thing when they start talking about like slavery and reparations. I'm like, bitch, you weren't a slave.
Bitch, their predecessors weren't slaves either.
I know. But let's touch on the last big topic before we run out of time.
Yeah, Mueller.
So, Monday, actually it was last Friday, Mueller came out with his report. Gave it to Attorney General William Barr. William Barr came out with a 3-page notice that basically said that Mueller did not find enough credible evidence to prove obstruction of justice. And therefore he recommended no further indictments.
Originally for this stream, the thumbnail was going to be this. Now, it was going to be this because Rachel Maddow has spent the better part of 2 years obsessing over Trump. So much time obsessing over him, and nothing, to the point where she was nearly crying when she was talking about this, how this fell apart. But because of Brexit, this thumbnail isn't getting used for this. If someone wants to use it, by all means go for it. It's up for use. Back to Mueller, though. His report just shows $30-something million goes a long way into proving nothing. Oh, but it creates more questions. So many more questions about Trump. No, it doesn't. All it does is say, you got shit, and now you're going to pay for it. And you're going to pay for it because your ratings have tanked. Bye-bye, Maddow, you delusional fuckstick.
I see you also watched Tim Pool's coverage.
No, I actually watched it from the source itself.
Okay.
I don't watch Tim Pool.
Oh,
Past him mentioning me, I never watched him.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I got to mention someone to you then. But this article I found was interesting. So people are saying online, on Twitter mostly, it doesn't matter what William Barr said. He's just a Trump lackey. Let me see the Mueller report. I was like, fucking hell, you guys. Even if they show you the Mueller report, there's going to be redacted names. Even if it's just names, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be satisfied because you, as a individual citizen, are going to extrapolate information and you are going to assume things. But that doesn't make it legally relevant.
Yeah.
So, like, you could say, like, oh, they had conversations, or this guy said they had conversations.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many interviews conducted. 300 pages. I am almost certain 200 of them are just interviews.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of
There
interviews.
is no fucking way. People want the Mueller report out just so they can find whatever, one line they want to prove their point.
They want a soundbite,
just like people,
a buzzword.
Yeah. Well, even if it's not just a soundbite or a buzzword, it's the same people who will misinterpret Christian or Quran teaching.
It's tangible information for the sake of confirmation bias. Oh, I need this so we can confirm my hypothesis. Like, no, it's an out of context quote at that point.
Beechin, Barr used to be the Attorney General under Clinton.
Actually,
Bill Clinton.
Who was the Attorney General under Obama? Because he came up.
Eric Holder.
He came up a fair amount as well.
Eric Holder said that William Barr or Mueller missed the mark where he could have actually brought up indictment opinions, but Eric Holder, he doesn't have that job anymore.
Sad times.
So that's not his call to make.
Okay, I do remember hearing about this though.
All the guilty verdicts in Trump hack serving time does mean nothing because almost all of them were pegged on charges relating to before the campaign and unrelated to Russia in general. They are related to finances. Almost all of them are financial tax evasion or improper use of money.
So back to this 300-page bullshit that isn't the full thing. What happens now?
Well, that's the thing. I had done a video on this one on Monday, and on Monday, Rashida Tlaib called for an investigation into Trump's actions in office to search for any possible impeachment offenses. So, there is nothing that they will not investigate. There is nothing that they will not attempt to find. And the worst thing is that, let's say Trump doesn't win in 2020, and then Republicans take back the Senate and the House. Because usually that's how the pendulum swings.
It swings, yes.
The Senate sitting now and the House sitting now, you have taught the GOP how to truly play dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, you have given them reason and precedent to follow if they don't like something.
Okay.
God forbid they ever grow a set of balls.
Do you think the Republicans will, though? Because
No, they have no balls.
They've shown they don't know. Okay, so they know how to win, but they don't know how to win. If that makes sense. I mean, they can win an election, but they can't keep it up. Like it's like an erection. They know how to get the erection, but they don't know how to keep it up.
Well, the problem is that politics by itself is a dirty game. Like, politics in general is a dirty game. Democrats don't mind playing dirty. There are those Republicans who have a sense of conscience, who have a sense of ethics. And so they will invariably lose to people who don't.
Because
for example, Dan Crenshaw, the Navy SEAL Texas House member. He has a considerable set of ethics and morals.
Okay.
I don't imagine that he would play dirty. But some of the corporate Republicans, maybe. They probably have skeletons in their closet. But I'm not going to say that the Republicans have the necessary cojones balls to do it.
I love it.
Election erection. Yo, I fucking love Dan Crenshaw.
Come on. They know how to get an erection, but they can't maintain it without some kind of help. And how do they maintain their erection at the moment? By having a non-Republican as their president.
Well, one who actually, I think they're living vicariously in a voyeuristic relationship, watching Trump just go after each and every one of them as if it's their own power fantasy that they can never live up.
Yeah. So, do you think Mueller will release the full report?
It's not up to him anymore.
It
is up to Congress, the DOJ, and Trump. So, Trump says do it. Senate says do it. DOJ is like, well, give us the order.
I assume Congress, though, since it's Dem and they've got nothing, and there's nothing really, that'll stick it to Trump. Might be like, nah. Does the Speaker have any sway on this?
This is the thing. I don't know if the Speaker really I don't think Nancy Pelosi wants the Mueller report released.
Yeah,
because you have to remember, the entire basis for this investigation was FISA document abuse. FISA being a court-ordered
Trump is going to release the FISA info. What's that about?
Yes. So FISA is the federal investigation thing that started this whole thing off. And remember, it was predicated on the Steele dossier, which was created by a Russian agent living in Britain as a British citizen. And also he worked for Fusion GPS.
Right. Okay, so it's not the Mueller report is more than likely then going to come out.
Yes, but if it does, it's even predicated on nonsense.
If it does, Trups and I will do a stream entirely devoted to it.
Yeah, let's do it.
That'll be fun. Before we finish, I thought I'd show something to everyone. So, a Streamlabs goal I had a while back. I've had a few. One was to get a new steering wheel. Thanks to Stephen, I smashed that. Stephen, Ash, Quacks, and Maggie got that. Streaming with Truck Simulator's been amazing. Afterwards, though, for a laugh, I made the Streamlabs goal gnomes. I bought one, and he's called Pencil Cookie, and he sat on my windowsill, and he sat there with a pair of Deal With It shades and ooh written on his hat. Well, today, I managed to acquire the second one. Now, he's pure white. This one comes up to my hip, and this one is not white.
Oh my god.
Here he is, and he's called Moose. He's sat in my very tatty armchair, because I have a very tatty armchair. But this is Moose.
My god, that thing is enormous.
He costs £30, which is cheaper than the other one, and he comes up to my hip. He is monstrous. And yeah,
I'm gonna have to send you the I'm not a gnome video.
The board he's holding, I actually got chalk with it, so I could write on that. So I wrote his name, Moose, on there in honor of the person who donated to me to get him, who's on my server no less. I also wanted to get Alfarius, my Primarch miniature for Warhammer. I do have that, but I haven't built it yet because I've been, miserable. But I thought I'd show you this.
I see you got Gaines, that dumbbell sitting on the floor.
There's two actually, but yes.
Yeah, I see that, but there's just one where I can see all the weights on it.
Yeah, it's only 15 kilos, 20 sorry, on each one, so it's nothing major. And the chair is very comfortable, I would point out. It looks tatty, but it's really comfy. And Ragnarok Ulfbert, thank you for the $2. Don't show off your giant gnome sex toy. But if a girl sits on that, she's in trouble.
I think so as well.
Because that gets really wide. It's very awkward to carry. Before we finish, is there anything you would like to shill?
I did do 2 videos earlier this week on the Mueller thing with Trump and on Jussie Smollett.
Do you want to link him in the chat?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to link him in the chat?
Yeah, I'll do that real quick. But so if you want more on that on those topics, I have videos out there with that.
I will be streaming on Sunday on the Omegon Plays channel. I will be streaming 7 Days to Die on Alpha 17. I'm also doing a poll at the moment on Twitter. The poll is to decide whether or not I should do an ASMR or creepypasta channel. I get asked all the time to do ASMR or reading stories, and I'm more than happy to if the audience want it. So the Twitter poll I'm linking now in the chat. If you want to go and vote on it for an ASMR or creepypasta channel, or I don't know what to call it yet, even if it happens. But if you do, by all means vote on it. And please go watch Trups' videos on Jussie Smollett and Trump.
And also Vic Mignogna if you're interested.
Yeah, that too, because that shit's amazing. I think we're done here. So say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.